Budgeting is one of the most important things you can do if you want to get your finances in order. It's always interesting to hear what other people's tips are about budgeting and kind of compare it with what we know. Now, you may be an expert at budgeting and know a system that works perfectly for you, or you could be a complete beginner, not really sure where to start. So I found an article called Best Budgeting Advice from Susie Orman and 9 other money experts. I thought it'd be interesting to see what their perspective was and kind of talk through, everybody's personalities are different and how it might resonate with you or others. If you are new here on Money Article Monday, we take an article or a blog that relates to money and we chat about it. Obviously, this is our opinion based on somebody else's opinion. We talk about it in the comments, so we definitely welcome that. If you enjoy Money Article Mondays, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. I found this article on MSN.com, and as always, I will have the article linked down below for you to read in its entirety. It starts off with saying, in order to function, every person, household, and business has to keep track of how much money is coming in and how much is going out and where it's being spent. Well, to function. Now, there's a lot of people that don't budget. Now, whether or not they're functioning somehow. Whether or not they're functioning well is up to your interpretation. So let's see what Susie Orman has to say. She starts it off by pass it on. According to celebrity giver of tough money love, Susie Orman, the best thing you can do with your budget is to treat it as a skill to be passed on to the next generation. Oh my gosh, that is absolutely correct. This is something that families don't really talk about. You certainly haven't learned in school, or at least when I was in school, they didn't teach it. And it is almost crazy to me to think that this is not one of the most important things that you need to learn. Some algebra, chemistry, whatever equation is more important, or they think is more important for you to learn than balancing a regular budget with the tool called money that we all utilize. It's the tool. And we're not taught that. So I 100% agree with Susie Orman. She says sitting down with your children once a month and having them help you pay the family bills is an incredibly valuable life lesson opportunity that sadly a few families use. And I almost wonder if it's because they're ashamed. Maybe they're in debt. Maybe they feel that shame of it and they don't want to worry their kids. Well, if that's the case, let's turn that around so that we can not have our kids repeat that cycle. We can look back at our parents, their parents, and we can see how cycles of behavior have repeated themselves, and typically the next generation tries to do better. But at some point, one generation has to break that bad cycle, and you don't want to continue passing it on to the next generation. Susie continues saying, I don't think it is nice to give a tween or teenager a window into the basics of household cash management. It is vital. If you are serious about giving your child the best possible chance at being a successful adult, teaching them how to handle basic household finances is very important. So this needs to be something that we continue to grow and learn about as parents in order to pass it on to our kids. I mean, there have been many of you over the time of my channel that have said the advice that they've passed on to their kids and how much better their kids have done because they've taken that financial advice, for those of you who've had that. And me having a 5-year-old, this is great to hear that others feel the same way, that this is a vital life lesson that just because it's not taught in school doesn't mean I can't teach it. Just because something is not taught in school doesn't mean the parent is not responsible for teaching. We are the heads of teaching and making sure we have a well-rounded child, a child open to other people's ideas, a child be able to make and be free to make their own decisions, that have their own free thinking thought patterns, to not be pulled in like a sheep and listen just to what other people are saying. Should be able to analytically think and see both sides and maybe a different side that others didn't. Now, besides Susie Orman, I don't know who any of these people are. Maybe I'll have to look them up. But the next one is Tiffany Alicia. Who knows if I'm saying that. Her advice is be a squirrel. Tiffany, I'm already a squirrel. Basically, Tiffany says, Tiffany Alicia of Brown Ambition podcast is known as the Budgetnista. I need to check her out. To find some of the best budgeting advice on the planet, she recommends looking no further than the nearest tree. That's a weird piece of advice. Squirrels are super smart savers. She said in a 2020 interview with Intuit's Mint-Life blog, when acorns are plentiful, they work their hardest and gather as many as possible. Squirrel away your money when times are good and live off your stash when things aren't. That is genius. That is absolutely genius. That is true. We maybe think that squirrels are just little, of the rodent family and aren't very smart. I don't know. I've seen some pretty smart squirrels in my time be able to navigate the squirrel buster bird feeders. So they are obviously thinking when it's abundant, they don't just get enough to get them by that winter. They're going to pile it up as much as they can. So when times are good, do as much as you can. Don't just fly by the seat of your pants and be like, oh, times are good. I'm making money so I can spend money. No. Now is when you need to squirrel it away. The next one is from Vicki Robin. Don't get played. All right, Vicki. She says there are 2 ways to loosen up a tight budget. Earn more or spend less. All right, we can all go home now. That is so true. It's just like, it's not this big secret that nobody talks about. We can't talk about. Shh. Either you make more or you spend less. It's that freaking simple. But she says, if you choose to tighten your belt instead of asking for a raise at work, Vicki Robin of Your Money or Your Life fame offers up a simple tip for deciding which expenses to cut. She told Get Rich Slowly in 2019, a useful question for me when I'm asked in the presence of something I must have is, who wins if I buy this? I love that question. Who wins if I buy this? Who is winning? Because I thought about this the other day when I was thinking about people who just sit and watch TV all day. Who's winning? You aren't winning. You're not. Yeah, there's times when you can sit back and relax and you need to, veg out, just let your brain not do anything and not function. But honestly, from the time I look back at when I watched so much freaking TV as, a single adult, married adult with no kids, when I had my daughter and then I just can't watch TV, I've never been happier. Number one, it's because I have my beautiful daughter, but 2, I'm not consumed by that stuff. And I spend my time thinking, free thinking, and thinking about, more than just this something that you're not going to look back at your life and remember all the 10 seasons of whatever you watched. And often there's not really good stuff on TV. I'm sorry, there's just not. Yes, there's good documentaries every once in a while, and that's great, things to watch. But honestly, who's winning? You know who's winning? The movie producers, the movie companies. All those people are who's winning, not you. You are not winning. And yes, when you're sitting in front of that TV for hours on end, you're losing. So getting back to what she says here, she says, yes, maybe I win a teeny bit by getting a computer case, but the company that sells that is the real winner. So think about, yeah, you win a little bit, but the company that sells it is the real winner. And that's okay if it's something that adds, that you really wanted, that you really needed, that adds to your life. But you need to take that question and ask it so that you can pull yourself out of the immediate gratification part of your brain and look at something from another angle. And when you start doing that over and over again, it then becomes a habit so that you don't have to think about it. It's unconscious. You unconsciously think about that question when you're going and making a monetary transaction. So the next one is from William D. Danko, and he says, pay yourself first, a lot more. Most household budgets share at least one common flaw. The people who came up with those budgets aren't saving nearly enough money. William D. Danko is from the Millionaire Next Door. The average American could stand to quadruple their nest egg contributions. First, commit to saving 20% of your income, he told the Washington Post in 2018. Currently, most save about 5%. It is hard to get ahead and being an investor without saving first. Yeah, so don't think about like investing your money. If you can't even pull that money out of your paycheck to put in a basic savings account, what are you going to do? And what I've been reading lately is that, in 2020, we all stopped and said, oh, wait a minute. We turned into the squirrel who thought there weren't enough nuts, and we started saving and finding as many nuts as we could, and we saved and stopped spending. But what I'm seeing is all this stuff coming back out, articles and things from news, reporting that we're falling right back into our bad habits now that we think we're out of it, or we're tired of dealing with it, or things are going to be fine. We're falling right back into those bad habits. We got scared, so we started to, pull in and save more and things like that. But then now we're going back to our old habits. Now, I'm not going to read all of these, so make sure you definitely check out the article linked below, because these are some great little nuggets of advice. So the next one comes from Michelle Singletary. Start by killing small debts. She says that, so once again, debt is bad. And I've heard people say, no, not all debt is bad. Oh, really? No, debt is the same thing. No, whether or not it's bad or good, it's a thing. You're in debt to somebody. You owe somebody something. So whether or not you want to consider that a good thing or a bad thing is your personal choice. But it's just like money. Money is not inherently a good thing or a bad thing. It is a tool. If you take a hammer is not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It can be used for good or bad. It can build a house for a family in need, or it could smash in your neighbor's window because you're mad at them for playing loud music. So good or bad. You can use money in a good or bad way. Now, debt itself is not the same as tool. Yeah, it's a tool, but it's always debt. It's always a burden hanging over you. This says that when people face student loans, credit cards, car payments, and the rest, how is a person supposed to know where to start? Right. For the Color of Money columnist Michelle Singletary, the smart move is to start from the ground up. In 2016, she wrote for Oprah.com saying, list your debt starting with the smallest. Take all that extra money you can find in your budget and apply it to the debt, and make only the minimum payments on your other debts. So there's many different ways that you can use to pay off your debts. The snowball method, which is Dave Ramsey likes, obviously Michelle Singletary likes, but the point is of doing the snowball method versus doing the highest interest or the highest balance is it gives you small wins. And I'm sorry, but humans like small wins. They like little carrots. They like to see some progress along the way. It's just as if you were losing weight and you weren't able to see if you were losing weight, and you didn't feel like you were, and you got to wait until 2 months, and now you can see that you lost 10 pounds. Whereas if you had seen that you were losing weight consecutively, you would have kept up those good eating habits, those good exercise habits. You need that motivation. So that's why going from smallest to largest is better in that case. It's what I used. It's not perfect for everybody, I guess, certainly, but do what's best for you. But I like that method. She says that this strategy works because people get the emotional boost from eliminating one of their debts quickly, which motivates them to stick to their debt repayment plan. And as you pull these debts off of you, so they're almost like, bricks or chips or wood on your shoulder. And regardless of if this debt's 500 and this one's 50,000, when you start to pull them off, whether or not you pull this one or this one first, there starts to be this relief. And the more you pull off, the bigger the relief. So the smaller ones can come off quicker. Now, as you pay these off, let's say you've got a $500 payment here and you're able to pull that off. Now you're able to put that $500 plus the minimum payment over here on that $50,000 to get it to go quicker. This one is one of my favorites because it leads to me and the fact that I am always changing things and finding what works best for me in the moment. But it's from Erin Lowry, and she says, never stop experimenting. Some budgets are scribbled out on spreadsheets. Others live on mobile apps or have their own sections inside bullet journals. There's no right or wrong way, according to best-selling Broke Millennial author Erin Lowry. In fact, she advises test driving as many budget styles as possible and pulling the most valuable nuggets from each to create your own model. It's exactly what I did. I created my own model out of, I think, 4 different models. And this took probably over a year of experimenting, failing, getting frustrated, trying a new one, trying the apps, trying this, trying that, to find what budgeting method worked for me. And in my financiary, if you're not familiar with that, I do at the beginning of the year 12 days of Financiary for January 1st through the 12th. We do 12 videos to help kickstart your new year, to detox you from all the spending from the holidays, and to get you motivated to start off the good year or the new year right in a good way. One of those videos is going to be me explaining in absolute detail with a mock budget to give you an idea of how to budget the way that works for me. Now again, that doesn't mean it's going to be right for you, but you could pull one or two little nuggets from that that are going to be beneficial for you in the new year. The next one is from David Bach. Automate everything. It's no secret that the author of The Atomic Millionaire is not a fan of manual transactions. I have not read that book. Has anybody read that book, Atomic Millionaire? I probably need to. He wrote in his book, automating your finances, sending your money automatically to investment accounts, savings accounts, and creditors allows you to build wealth effortlessly. You'll never forget a payment again, and you'll never be tempted to skimp on savings because you won't even see the money going directly from your paycheck to your savings account. This is absolutely true. It was astonishing to me. I don't deal with our investments. I let my husband deal with it. I set it up initially, like when I started a new job or previous job, and I just let the money come out. I never see it. It doesn't look, the money that comes through my paycheck is already missing that amount. So to me, I'm only getting paid this amount. So in our household, we do a net worth update every 6 months on, I think it's July 1st and January 1st. Ooh, we have one coming up. And at that point, I get to actually see what's happening in my investment accounts, in my 401ks. And it is astonishing to me what's actually happening. You know, I don't see it on a daily basis, which is great. I see it afterward, and I see how big it actually got, which is so much fun. Those are times that we actually look forward to see what's happening. But there's just something about, you know, if you never saw it, you never had it. That is just a great rule of thumb. And if you end up getting a raise maybe at the beginning of the year, or you start a new job where you're making more, if you were living comfortably on what you were making prior to that, then save all the rest of that, invest it if you don't need it to, I don't know, pay off a mortgage or whatever. That is what we've done. We basically live on how we are to the point where we have our mortgage, you know, being paid off in the next couple of years is the fact, and we have no debt other than the house, is the fact that we were able to, you know, we actually just cleaned out our tax documents, and we looked back at what we were making in 2009 and are just astonished. We were like, oh, well, we could live off that. Obviously, we did. It is amazing the difference. And if you can, we still live off of that same amount of income, and the rest is what we're using to pay down our house. So we haven't bought into that lifestyle creep where, you know, somebody gets a new job. Oh, I need a new car because I need to look and have this persona for this, you know, this new business that I'm in. We haven't bought into that. And because of that, we've maintained our standard of living. The only thing we did was buy this house. It's the only upgrade we made. But I would venture to say we save more money now because over the last probably 5 years or so, I have become so much more invested in, you know, getting the house paid off, in reaching the financial freedom, in, you know, this path of financial independence, basically. The last one I'm going to read is by Julie Alma Taveras, Know Your Survival Budget. Known as the Investing Latina, Julie Alma Taveras leaned on lessons learned during her Spartan first-generation upbringing to come up with what she calls her survival budget. That's the bare minimum she needs to survive for a single month with only the most basic necessities, and she believes everyone should have one. I have never done this. This might be a very fun experiment because I love budgeting. I love Excel spreadsheets. I love that kind of stuff. I especially love finding when there's a discrepancy, trying to find the error. But she says creating and understanding your survival number isn't about denying yourself. Taveras wrote for Times Next Advisor. It's about being intentional with your spending, clear about your financial goals, and mindful about your consumption. You may never have to actually live on your survival budget, but establishing your number can give you a sense of security and a benchmark for building your emergency fund savings. That is a great way to look at it. Maybe you've never had to worry about finances or think about that. How cool would that be to actually look at what a bare bone budget would be if something did happen and have that in the back of your brain and know that it's almost would be like a peace of mind to know that maybe there's two of you in income, right? You're two working. And you maybe one of you is always has anxiety or worried about the other losing the job and being on one income. Well, why not go ahead and establish whether or not that would be a problem or not? Because maybe you're 90% of the things we worry about actually never come true. We're catastrophizing for no reason. So maybe you haven't actually looked at the numbers and you haven't realized that a bare bone budget could actually be covered by one of your income. And you're worried about one person losing their job when in the case of if it happened, you would be perfectly fine. So the unknown, the unknowing is where we find ourselves stressed out. If we went ahead and dug into it, we can establish that, oh, this might not actually be a problem after all. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This was one of the most fun Money Article Mondays I felt that we've done in a while. I thought there was some really good, insightful information. Again, I haven't read all of them, so check them out down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you click on that like button. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm and shares my videos with others who are looking to make improvements, hopefully on their finances, or looking for a like-minded community. Also, click on the subscribe button. That way you don't miss out on any other videos. It's free. You just click on it. That way you can see when I've posted. I would hope that you come back for more videos.